Think about how your day is structured. The alarm goes off, and almost immediately, you are expected to fall into a specific, unyielding cycle: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you skip one of these blocks, it feels wrong. You might feel a pang of guilt, as if you've broken a basic biological law or neglected a pillar of human health. But researchers looking at human metabolism are finding a very different reality. The schedule we treat as a law of nature was actually invented quite recently, and it has almost nothing to do with how our bodies were built. Because we are forcing a rigid, modern schedule over our ancient biological wiring, millions of people are walking around with a physiological condition scientists call eating jet lag. For the vast majority of human history, prehistoric hunter-gatherers didn't check a clock to see if it was time to eat. They ate opportunistically, consuming calories whenever a hunt was successful or when they found wild forage. Because of this unpredictability, our metabolism evolved to thrive under conditions of fasting and sporadic feeding. Our systems are optimized to store energy and slowly burn it off over long stretches of time, not to process a constant, scheduled influx of calories. This image shows the Great Northern Grain Elevator, which represents the scale of the first major roadblock to our ancestral rhythms. Once the agricultural revolution allowed humans to harvest and store massive surplus grain, we had predictable, on-demand food for the first time. The true catalyst for the three-meal day arrived with the Industrial Revolution. Massive factories required a strict, synchronized schedule to keep machines running profitably. Factory owners scheduled mandatory fueling stops as a calculated way to prevent exhaustion on the assembly line, inventing lunch. Workers couldn't leave their posts to eat. The mechanized environment required strict, synchronized feeding times. The ancient biological habit of fasting and foraging was replaced by the industrial necessity of midday caloric refueling. Thousands of men ate at the exact same moment, rushing to consume enough energy to survive the afternoon. In this era, the mechanical clock replaced the human stomach as the ultimate authority over hunger. As this rigid timing took hold in factories, other powerful institutions began to see the value in strictly scheduled eating to maintain order. Organizations like the British Royal Navy started enforcing highly structured mealtimes. In confined spaces, keeping everyone on a predictable routine maintained discipline and prevented crew chaos. While lunch and dinner were standardized by labor and military routines, breakfast needed a different push. It went from a quick morning convenience to a mandatory health ritual through aggressive commercial marketing. In the early 20th century, JH Kellogg popularized medicalized fears, claiming auto-intoxication from heavy foods was poisoning the body. To cure this invented condition, he presented a specific solution: a light, grain-based morning meal. By associating his cereals with wholesome imagery and medical authority, this marketing strategy successfully built a daily consumer habit that fueled a global corporate industry. Breakfast became the most important meal of the day purely because a cereal company told us it was. Our modern three-meal day is not a medical necessity. It is the direct result of industrial factory schedules and early corporate marketing. So what actually happens to a biological organism when you force it to run on a factory schedule for 100 years? This chart shows the scientific reality of what happens. When your natural circadian rhythm, the fluid biological wave, is forced to accept food during these rigid 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. blocks, the resulting misalignment causes metabolic confusion. This is that physiological condition researchers call eating jet lag. Recent studies on time-restricted feeding have revealed something fascinating. The specific timing of our meals affects our health independently of the food we consume. When we align our eating windows with our biological rhythms, researchers see direct improvements in insulin sensitivity and reduced blood pressure. Understanding this disconnect removes the pressure to follow an outdated cultural relic, acknowledging it as a product of history rather than biology. We have the science to break free from the factory clock. We can start listening to our own biology again, choosing to eat when our bodies are actually hungry, rather than when society dictates we should.